Hey there, friends. I'm Spiderfish. Welcome to my channel, your corner of the internet where we let Minecraft blocks stack themselves in the background while we dive into some of the strangest, funniest, and most questionable stories the world of Reddit has to offer. Whether you're here to fall asleep, relax after a long day, or just listen while you build something cool in your own Minecraft world, I've got you covered. This is my very first video, so if you enjoy it, I'd really appreciate if you could hit that like button and subscribe. Let's settle in, take a breath, and jump into our first story while I begin my journey through this brand new world. Am I the a-hole for refusing to share my secret recipe with my roommate, even though it was just store-bought sauce? So let me take you back to the start, because honestly, this whole Alfredo gate fiasco didn't just appear out of nowhere. It began with pasta night number one, the night that would change my life, or at least my reputation, forever. I had just gotten back from a brutal day of classes. I'm talking back-to-back lectures where my brain was melting into a puddle of notes I couldn't even read. I wanted something easy, something that wouldn't require me to chop onions until I cried or marinate chicken for 3 hours like Samantha always does. So, I boiled up a pot of linguine, opened my trusty jar of Alfredo sauce, tossed in a little garlic powder and some cracked pepper, and let it simmer just long enough to smell fancy. Done in 15 minutes flat. Now, here's the thing about my roommate, Samantha. She has this aura of superiority in the kitchen, like if Gordon Ramsay had a kid with the Food Network, that's the vibe she's going for. She once lectured me for 30 minutes about why truffle oil is an abomination. I didn't even know what truffle oil was. I thought it was something cartoon pigs sniffed out of the dirt. So imagine the scene. I'm sitting there, plate of pasta in my lap, when Samantha bursts through the door. She drops her tote bag, sniffs the air dramatically, and freezes. Her eyes go wide. "What is that heavenly aroma?" she whispers, like she just walked into an enchanted forest. "It's pasta," I said, mid-slurp. No, that's not pasta. That's art." She marches over, fork in hand, and before I can say anything, she twirls up a bite and pops it in her mouth. Her knees literally buckle. She groans. She does the whole food critic thing where she stares into the middle distance, like she's communing with the spirit of Julia Child. "This sauce," she whispers. "You made this?" Now, any rational person would have just shrugged and said, "Nah, it's Bertolli in a jar." But me? No, I decided that this was my villain origin story. So I nodded. Yeah, made it from scratch. Samantha's jaw hit the floor. She gasped, clutched her chest like I'd just told her I'd invented fire, and said, "Do you realize what this means? You're a natural, a prodigy, a hidden gem in the culinary world." And in that moment, dear listeners, I knew I was screwed. The lie snowballs. Over the next few days, Samantha treated me like I was some kind of pasta shaman. She told her friends. She bragged about me on Instagram. She even cornered me in the kitchen with a notebook, saying she wanted me to walk her through the recipe. I panicked. I blurted out something about family secrets and special ingredients only my grandmother had access to. For extra drama, I even lowered my voice and said, "This recipe has been in my family for generations. Did my great-grandma have a recipe for Alfredo? Absolutely not. Her most famous dish was Jell-O salad with canned fruit. But Samantha ate it up, figuratively and literally. Then came Pasta Night 2.0. The dinner party. Samantha decided she wanted to host a dinner for her foodie friends. You know, the kind of people who say things like notes of citrus about sparkling water. She insisted that I cook. I tried everything to dodge it. I told her I was busy. I told her I had exams. I told her the special ingredients were hard to find. She hit me with, "I already told everyone you're cooking. They're expecting greatness." So there I was, staring down a jar of Alfredo sauce like it was my sworn enemy. I heated it up, threw in my usual garlic and pepper, and prayed to every deity that nobody would notice. Dinner starts. I put the plates down, heart racing like I was serving the judges on MasterChef. And wouldn't you know it, they loved it. One guy literally stood up, clinked his glass, and made a toast to the chef. Samantha teared up. Someone said, "This belongs in a 5-star restaurant." I wanted to sink into the carpet. The recipe demand. After the guests left, Samantha cornered me. "Teach me," she said, eyes blazing. "What?" "Teach me the recipe." Now, what was I supposed to do? Show her the aisle at Walmart? Walk her through the sacred art of twisting a jar lid? I shook my head. "I can't. It's a family secret." She begged. She pleaded. She offered me bribes. "I'll do your laundry for a month. I'll buy all your groceries. I'll pay you." I stayed firm. That's when she snapped. She accused me of being selfish, toxic, and manipulative. She said true friends share recipes. She even compared me to those medieval guilds that guarded trade secrets with their lives. And now, she barely talks to me. When she does, it's snide little comments like, "Enjoy your mystery sauce, I guess." So here I am, asking the internet, am I the a-hole for keeping my so-called family recipe to myself, even though it's literally just Alfredo sauce from a jar? Let me just say, this is the perfect example of digging yourself a hole, and then realizing the hole is way deeper than you thought. Like, OP started out in the shallow end with, "Yeah, I made it." Then they dove headfirst into, "It's a family recipe." Next thing you know, there's a whole dinner party built around this lie. It's like placing one block in Minecraft and suddenly you've committed to building a castle. You didn't mean to, but now everyone's waiting for the drawbridge and moat. Here's the thing. Is OP technically lying? Yes. But is it funny, harmless, and maybe even necessary for the soul? Also yes. Samantha seems like the kind of person who would absolutely crush OP if they admitted the truth. Like, she'd never let them live it down. Better to be a mysterious pasta wizard than Alfredo in a jar guy. Personally, I'd keep the secret forever. If Samantha presses again, just say, "The first rule of the Sauce Club is you don't talk about the Sauce Club." Boom. Done. All right, so that was our first little adventure in pasta wizardry. But let's keep things rolling. The next story is from r/TIFU. Today, I effed up, where people confess the absolute train wrecks of their lives for our entertainment. And this one, it's a tale of technology, awkward neighbors, and the dangers of not double-checking your Bluetooth settings. Tifu by accidentally broadcasting my playlist to the entire apartment complex. So, picture this. I'm a 26-year-old guy. I live in this old apartment building where the walls are thin enough that you can hear someone sneeze 3 units over. But the building also has smart amenities, which basically means the landlord slapped in some Bluetooth speakers in the hallways and called it luxury living. Now, I'm a music person. Not like Samantha the foodie level pretentious, but I take pride in my playlists. I have a workout playlist, a chill playlist, a songs to cry in the shower 2 playlist. You know, the essentials. Anyway, it was Saturday morning. I was cleaning my apartment, and like any normal person, I wanted some tunes. I connected my phone to what I thought was my Bluetooth speaker. I hit shuffle. The first song blasted, "Sexy Back" by Justin Timberlake. I was vibing, mopping the floor, singing into the broom handle, living my best life. About 5 minutes in, I started to notice something weird. The music sounded echoey, like it wasn't just in my apartment. I paused the song, and from the hallway outside, the music paused too. That's when the horror set in. I realized I hadn't connected to my Bluetooth speaker. I had connected to the building's hallway system, which meant, for the past 5 minutes, Justin Timberlake had been screaming, "I'm bringing sexy back" at top volume to every single resident in the building. At 9 a.m. on a Saturday. I fumbled with my phone, trying to disconnect, but my hands were sweaty and my screen wouldn't cooperate. And here's the thing about my playlists. The order is chaotic. Like, 1 second it's Justin Timberlake, the next it's Weird Al Yankovic. Then it's 3 remixes of the Pokemon theme song. So just as I finally got to the Bluetooth settings, the next song kicked in. Barbie Girl by Aqua. And not just any part, the chorus, loud, echoing through the halls. Neighbours started opening their doors. People were poking their heads out, confused, some of them laughing. I saw Old Man Jenkins from down the hall. Okay, his name's probably not Jenkins, but he has Jenkins energy. Just glaring, shaking his head like this was the end of civilization. I was sweating buckets. I finally managed to disconnect, and the music cut off. Dead silence. You could hear a pin drop. Then, from somewhere upstairs, someone yelled, "Put it back on." Now, any sane person would have let it go, pretended nothing happened. But no, I had to make it worse. I cracked my door open, stuck my head out, and blurted, "Sorry, everyone. That was, a test." A test? A test? Who tests Aqua at 9 in the morning? People chuckled. One lady clapped. Someone actually said, "Nice playlist." And I thought maybe, just maybe, I was off the hook. But here's where the Tfue truly solidifies itself. Later that day, I ran into my neighbour, the cute girl from apartment 3B that I'd been trying to work up the courage to talk to for months. She grinned and said, "So, you're the guy who woke us up with Barbie Girl, huh?" I wanted the floor to swallow me whole. I tried to laugh it off. "Yeah, just, you know, spreading joy," she said. "Well, I'll never hear that song the same way again." And then she winked. So, maybe it wasn't a total disaster, but I still can't look Old Man Jenkins in the eye. Spiderfish commentary. Okay, let me just pause here and say, this is why Bluetooth is dangerous. Forget hackers, forget malware. This is the real threat. You think you're just cleaning your apartment, but next thing you know, your entire building is involuntarily part of your workout playlist. And honestly, I respect the chaos, because there are worse songs to broadcast than Sexy Back and Barbie Girl. Imagine if it had shuffled into that one Nickelback song you keep for nostalgia. Psych, Nickelback rocks. Or worse, a playlist you don't want anyone to know about. You know the one. Don't lie. Here's my take. OP didn't screw up. OP hosted the first ever accidental community dance party. Like, if Minecraft Villages had Bluetooth, this is exactly how it would go. Somebody hits play, suddenly the whole village is bopping to Aqua. As for the girl in 3B, bold move OP, but I'd say lean into it. Next time, purposely connect and blast something even weirder. Set the bar high. Give them yakety sax at dawn. All right, so we've had pasta lies and hallway concerts, but now it's time to wade into something juicier. The kind of story where emotions run high, people make questionable choices, and Reddit turns into a jury of millions. This one's straight out of r/relationships, and trust me, it's got enough drama to keep you hooked till the end. My boyfriend invited his ex to move in with us, and now I don't know what to do. So, here's the situation. I'm a 25-year-old woman, and I've been dating my boyfriend, let's call him Ethan, for about a year and a half. Things have been, for the most part, good. He's funny, smart, and we've talked seriously about maybe getting engaged in the near future. But recently, things got complicated. Ethan has an ex, Clara. They dated for about 4 years before they broke up 2 years ago. From what I gathered, it was a mutual thing. Life goals didn't match up, feelings fizzled, all that. Ethan swears there's no romantic connection left. I believed him. Until last month. Clara apparently lost her job and her apartment. According to Ethan, she was going through a rough patch and didn't have family nearby. So, without asking me first, he invited her to stay with us. Now, let me pause here. Because you might be thinking, wait, what? Yeah, same. Imagine coming home from work and finding out your boyfriend's ex is now your new roommate. Surprise! I was stunned. I asked Ethan why he didn't talk to me first, and he said, "I knew you'd say no and Clara really needs help," which is not exactly the answer I was hoping for. So Clara moved in, and at first I tried to be civil. She was polite, she kept her things neat, she even cooked dinner for us a few times. But it didn't take long for things to get weird. She and Ethan have inside jokes, the kind that come from years of history. They'll laugh at some random phrase, and I'm just sitting there like the third wheel in my own living room. She also has this habit of casually touching him, a hand on the shoulder, a playful shove when they're joking. Ethan says it's harmless, that that's just how she is, but it makes my skin crawl. The worst part? I caught them staying up late one night, just the two of them, talking on the couch. When I came out to grab water, they looked like kids caught with their hands in the cookie jar. Ethan swears nothing happened, but my gut isn't buying it. Last week, I finally snapped. I told Ethan this situation wasn't fair to me, that I felt like an outsider in my own home. His response? He said I was being insecure, that Clara's situation is temporary and that I should trust him more. He even said, "If you really loved me, you'd understand I can't just abandon someone who once meant so much to me." Which, by the way, felt like emotional blackmail wrapped in a Hallmark card. I told him Clara needs to find another place to stay, maybe with friends, maybe in a short-term rental. He said I was cold and that I'm forcing him to choose between being a good person and keeping me happy. So now I'm stuck. Do I lay down the law and risk blowing up our relationship? Or do I bite my tongue and let his ex keep living under our roof? Okay. This is one of those situations where you can practically hear Reddit sharpening their pitchforks. Because honestly, this is wild. First off, Ethan inviting Clara without asking is a massive red flag. Like, imagine building your Minecraft house with someone and then they just decide, "Oh hey, I invited a creeper to live here too." Don't worry, it won't explode. Yeah, good luck with that. Second, the "if you really loved me" line? Nah, that's manipulative. Love doesn't mean letting your partner bulldoze your boundaries. Here's what I think. OP, you're not insecure. You're observant. If your gut is screaming, it's usually for a reason. At the very least, Ethan owes you a serious conversation. One where he actually listens instead of guilt tripping. And honestly, Clara isn't your responsibility. You didn't sign up for a surprise roommate, especially not one with a shared history with your boyfriend. If Ethan can't see that, maybe it's time to ask yourself if this is really the partnership you want. All right, so we've laughed at pasta secrets, winced at Bluetooth chaos, and shaken our heads at questionable relationship choices. But now, let's dim the metaphorical lights a little. This next one's from r/nosleep, a story that blends the ordinary with the unsettling. The kind of tale that makes you glance over your shoulder, even though you know you're safe at home. Story 4. The Man in the Window Who Waves Back. So I moved into this apartment about 3 months ago. It's on the third floor of a pretty ordinary brick building. Nothing fancy, just one of those places where you can hear your neighbour vacuuming if you're unlucky. The first thing I noticed when I moved in was the view. My living room window looks directly across into another building about 20 feet away. There's a row of identical windows over there, all with the same beige curtains, all lined up in neat little squares. At first, I didn't pay much attention. Sometimes I'd see lights flick on or off, a shadow move past the curtains, that sort of thing. Normal city living. But then, about 2 weeks after I moved in, I noticed him. A man, standing perfectly still in one of the windows across the way. His curtain was pulled back just enough that I could see him clearly. He wasn't doing anything, just standing there, staring out. And here's the weird part. When I looked at him, he lifted his hand and waved. I froze. Out of instinct, I waved back. And that was the start of it. At first, I thought it was harmless. Maybe he was just being friendly. Every evening, around 8 p.m., I'd see him at the window, always standing in the exact same spot, always staring across, always waving. And Stupidly, I always waved back. It felt rude not to, like ignoring someone who says hello. But after a week, it started to bother me, because I realized I never saw him move. Not once. I never saw him sit down, never saw him adjust the curtain, never saw him leave the window. Just standing, staring, waving. One night, I decided to really look at him. Really look. I turned off my lights so my apartment was dark, grabbed a pair of old binoculars I had from a hiking trip, and focused on his face. That's when I noticed something that made my stomach twist. His smile. It wasn't a normal smile. It was too wide, too stiff, like it had been painted on. And his eyes, they didn't blink. I watched for 5 minutes straight, and not once did his eyelids move. When I lowered the binoculars, I swear his head tilted slightly, like he knew I was studying him. Then he raised his hand again and waved. I told myself I was imagining things. Maybe he was just a weird guy with a weird smile. Maybe he wore contacts that made it look like he wasn't blinking. I tried to ignore it. But then things escalated. One night, I came home late from work. It was almost midnight. As I dropped my bag on the couch, I glanced at the window, and he was there, still in the same spot, still staring, still smiling, still waving. But this time, his other hand was holding something, a piece of paper. He pressed it to the glass. Even from across the way, I could make out the words, written in thick black marker. I see you. That was it. I snapped my curtains shut and didn't open them for 2 days. I tried to convince myself it was a prank, maybe one of those creepy neighbors who gets a kick out of freaking people out. But last night was different. I couldn't sleep. Around 2 a.m., I got up for water. I made the mistake of peeking through a gap in the curtain. And what I saw made my blood run cold. The window across the way was empty. For the first time in weeks, the man wasn't there. Relieved, I let the curtain fall back. That's when I heard it, a faint tapping sound. From my window, my heart stopped. Slowly, I turned. And there, pressed against the glass of my third-floor apartment, was a hand. Pale, motionless, waving. Okay, let's all take a collective breath, because that gave me chills just telling it. That's the kind of story that reminds me why I both love and hate r/nosleep, and the type of story I hope is made up for my own sanity. On one hand, it's creepy in the best way. Ordinary life, apartments, windows, neighbors, but with just enough of the uncanny to make you wonder what's real. On the other hand, I am absolutely double-checking my curtains tonight. If this happened in Minecraft, easy fix. Just place a few extra blocks, wall off the window, problem solved. Real life? Not so simple. That's why I like it here in Blockworld. What I love most, though, is the psychology behind it. The narrator doesn't even know if the man is real, but their brain fills in the blanks. Was it paranoia? A stalker? A ghost? We'll never know. That's what makes it stick in your head long after the story's over. All right, after that creepy window story, I think we all need a palate cleanser. Something messy, scandalous, but still funny enough that you can laugh while you're stacking blocks in Minecraft. This one's from r/Am I the A-hole? And it's about family drama, wedding chaos, and a secret that maybe should have stayed a secret. Am I the a-hole for telling everyone at my cousin's wedding that the bride used to date the groom's brother? So, I'm a 28-year-old guy, and my extended family is basically a soap opera. There's always drama at every gathering, whether it's someone arguing about inheritance money or Uncle Jerry drinking too much and singing karaoke at Thanksgiving. But nothing compares to what happened at my cousin Jake's wedding last month. Jake was marrying a woman named Melissa. She's gorgeous, she's charming. She's the type of person who always posts those aesthetic Instagram stories with perfectly foamed lattes. The family loved her. Except for one small detail. Melissa used to date Jake's older brother, Ryan. And when I say date, I don't mean a casual fling. I mean a full-on 2-year relationship. They broke up about 3 years ago, and Melissa moved on to Jake. Now, Jake knew about this. Everyone in the immediate family knew. But most of the extended family, they had no idea. And it was very clear that Melissa wanted to keep it that way. Fast forward to the big day. The ceremony goes fine. Everyone's crying, snapping pictures, throwing confetti. Then comes the reception, the part where alcohol enters the chat. I was at a table with some cousins who didn't know the backstory. One of them pointed at Ryan, sitting awkwardly at the head table, and said, "Isn't it funny how he looks miserable? What's his deal?" And, without thinking, I just blurted it out. "Oh, he used to date Melissa." The table went silent. Then one cousin gasped so loudly it turned heads. "Wait, what?" I tried to play it off. "Yeah, it was years ago, not a big deal." But it was too late. The gossip fire had been lit. Within 30 minutes, the entire reception hall knew. People were whispering, pointing, side-eyeing Ryan, side-eyeing Melissa, side-eyeing Jake. The bride and groom started getting pulled aside by different relatives, asking if it was true. At one point, I saw Melissa's mom literally sprint across the dance floor to shut someone up. Meanwhile, Uncle Jerry was drunkenly yelling, "Family reunion plot twist," into the microphone. The absolute peak was when Ryan tried to give a toast. He stood up, glass in hand, and before he could say a word, someone at the back yelled, "Didn't you already date the bride?" Dead silence. Melissa's face went redder than the punch bowl. Jake slammed his glass down. Ryan mumbled something and sat back down. The reception basically imploded after that. Half the guests left early, the DJ looked like he wanted to quit on the spot, and Melissa refused to speak to me for the rest of the night. The next day, I got a furious call from my aunt, Jake's mom. She said I ruined the wedding by digging up old history that didn't matter. Melissa sent me a 3-paragraph text calling me immature, jealous, and toxic to happy people. But here's the thing. I didn't say it maliciously. It just slipped out in casual conversation. And it's not like it was a lie. It's true. Melissa did date Ryan. I just didn't realize how many people didn't know. Now the family is split. Half of them think Melissa overreacted and that the truth always comes out eventually. The other half think I'm the world's biggest jerk for airing dirty laundry at a wedding. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole? Okay, wow. First of all, this is like something out of a Netflix series. You can't make this stuff up. Weddings are already stressful enough, but throwing in the bride used to date the groom's brother? That's the definition of scandal. Here's my take. OP didn't set out to ruin anything. It was an accident. But, yeah, timing is everything. There's a huge difference between gossiping at Thanksgiving and dropping that bomb at a wedding reception. Weddings are supposed to be about the couple, not about whatever tangled romantic web led up to it. But honestly, part of me thinks Melissa was playing with fire here. She invited her ex-boyfriend, who also happens to be her new husband's brother, to her wedding and expected nobody to whisper. That's like building a Minecraft house out of TNT and hoping nobody lights a torch. So, is OP the asshole? Maybe a little. But are they also the hero who gave us the most dramatic wedding story ever? Definitely. All right, after that wedding explosion, let's stay in the world of relationships for a bit. This next one is all about secrets, jealousy, and the classic, "My partner didn't tell me something important, and now it's blowing up in my face" scenario. It's messy, it's dramatic, and of course, it's just the right amount of funny when you're not the one living through it. My girlfriend never told me her best friend was actually her ex, and now I feel like the side character in my own relationship. So I'm a 27-year-old guy, and I've been dating my girlfriend Leah for about 9 months. Things were going great. We clicked right away. We have similar interests, and for the first time in a long time, I was starting to think about a future with someone. But then there's Eli. Leah has this best friend, Eli. She talks to him every day. They text constantly. They send each other memes, and sometimes they have these long, late-night phone calls where she laughs so hard she's crying. I'll be honest, I was a little jealous at first, but Leah reassured me, "Oh, Eli. He's like a brother to me. We've been friends forever. Nothing to worry about." Cool, I believed her. Until last week. We were at dinner with some of Leah's old college friends. Everyone was reminiscing, swapping stories, laughing about stuff that happened years ago. And then one of them turned to Leah and said, "Remember when you and Eli were dating? That was wild. I nearly choked on my pasta." Dating? Excuse me? Leah froze. She gave this awkward laugh and said, "Oh, that was so long ago. Barely even counts." Then she immediately changed the subject. But my brain was already in overdrive. Barely counts? They dated, and she never told me. When we got home, I asked her straight up, "Were you and Eli a thing?" She sighed, rolled her eyes, and said, "We dated for like a year in college. It wasn't serious. I didn't mention it because I knew you'd overreact." Overreact? Really? I pointed out that she spends more time talking to Eli than she does to me some days. And now that I know they have history, all those just best friend vibes feel different. Leah got defensive. She said, "If you can't handle me having a past, then maybe you're not mature enough for this relationship." I said, "It's not about your past. It's about you hiding it. If you'd told me up front, I wouldn't feel blindsided." She rolled her eyes again and said, "You're making drama out of nothing." Since then, things have been tense. She still talks to Eli constantly. In fact, last night, I walked into the room at midnight, and she was giggling on the phone with him. When she saw me, she whispered, "I'll call you later," and hung up. I asked what was so funny. She said, "You wouldn't get it." Wouldn't get it, okay? Now I feel like the third wheel in my own relationship. I don't know if they're just overly close, or if there's still something between them, or if Leah just doesn't see how shady this all looks. Part of me wants to lay down an ultimatum. Either set boundaries with Eli, or I'm out. But another part of me worries that makes me sound controlling. So Reddit, what do I do? Am I overreacting? Or is this a giant red flag waving right in my face? All right, let's break this one down because, there's a lot here. First, the big issue isn't that Leah dated Eli. People have past relationships, that's normal. The problem is that she hid it. If you're going to spend that much time with someone and they happen to be your ex, that's something your partner deserves to know from the start. Second, the whole "you wouldn't get it" line? Yeah, that's shady. If you're in a healthy relationship, your partner shouldn't feel like they're competing with your best friend, especially when that best friend is someone you used to kiss. Here's my take. OP isn't being controlling for wanting transparency. Boundaries are part of trust. If Leah can't see how this situation looks from the outside, then she's either oblivious or ignoring it on purpose. Either way, OP has a choice to make. And it's not between Leah and Eli. It's between Leah being honest or Leah being dismissive. And honestly, if my girlfriend spent more time laughing at late-night memes with her ex than hanging out with me, I'd be packing my virtual Minecraft chest and heading somewhere new. And that's where we'll wrap up for today, friends. We've wandered through pasta secrets, Bluetooth disasters, messy relationships, creepy windows, scandalous weddings, and late-night ex drama. And somehow, we made it out the other side in one piece. I hope you had as much fun listening as I had telling these stories. Whether you're winding down for bed, grinding away in Minecraft, or just hanging out with me in the background, thanks for spending this time here at Spiderfish. If you enjoyed these stories, feel free to come back anytime. There'll always be more drama, more laughs, and maybe even a few more chills waiting for you. Until next time, take care of yourself, stay a little curious, and remember, sometimes the best way to deal with life's chaos is just to sit back, breathe, and let the blocks stack themselves. Good night, everyone.